Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on when you see this video. Welcome to another edition of the Kraken's Lair Comics. I know it's been a couple of months, and sorry about that. Life intervened, and for those of you who've been following my recent videos, I've been doing what I call the Cash Up program, where I've been selling uh, you know, a lot of books in my collection. I mean, and not just generic books, um, but selling books like first appearance Rocket Raccoon, first appearance of Deathstroke, what have you, and was taking those funds to get bigger key issues to liquidate the collection down. Pretty much a focus is on graded books, so it's got the label. So you know, my unfortunate demise or something, that my daughter and my wife would have these graded books that they could liquidate much more easily than trying to navigate thousands of comic books in my collection, not knowing, that this is the first mention of vibranium, or, you know, the first time, Kazar petted his saber-toothed tiger or whatever. And it was going really, really well. I was able to get like an ASM 5, an ASM 6, an Avengers 4, some really key books. Then I had unforeseen, pretty big financial hit, to the tune of $8,500 that needed to be dealt with. So that had priority over, acquiring comic books. Um, got the first half paid off. I've got a significant amount put aside to pay off the remaining balance. So hopefully soon I'll be able to get back to the Cash Up program. This is something that is good about having tangible assets of value that, for me trying to like cough up $8,500 from a paycheck, shaved off like the monthly bills and groceries and gas and blah, 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 would have been very difficult. Um, this is working out. I'm getting there, but I've not really been in much of a comic book headspace. Um, but I am today. So I'm going to flip the screen, and this was the first one is going to be the last book that I purchased from Chris on the We Love Comics channel towards the Cash Up program, when I was just purely funds from sales of comic books to buy comic books. So I'm going to turn this around. Everybody knows this. It's Werewolf by Night, number 32. A very decent 3.5. A part of the reason for that is on the back cover, there is a little corner chip missing out. For me, I'd prefer the cover to present well, and if there's, is significant damage, for it to be on the back. Now, I don't even know if I should word it that I've wanted this comic book for years and years. I've watched it for like well over a decade. It's always been very expensive, and honestly, I've never really understood it. I mean, I like Moon Knight, he's cool, but the prices that this book has always commanded for what I would call like a D tier character, like I mean, even with the Moon Knight TV show, I mean, fine, but before that, outside of like, the mainstream comic book community, like Moon Knight, people would be like, "What? Who are you talking about?" I have no clue. I don't know if this character resonates with a newer generation of collectors or not, but I was never willing to spend what this book was commanding. When Rovid reared its ruggery red, this thing got stupid expensive. So back to my thought of like the cash up program, I'm looking at buying books that when, the economy bounces back, these are books that people are willing to spend high dollars on. And Chris from We Love Comics, um, he was doing one of his live auctions. Uh, I think it might have been a preview because he'll do a preview of books that he is going to place at auction to give you the opportunity to pounce on them if you were so inclined. I got this for $425. Not a steal right now. I mean, it's about what it's going for. Um, but once again, like when the economy and things bounce back, I know this is a book that people want, and I've mentioned this before. People that chase, oh, it's got to be a 9.6, got to be a 9.8. That's great if you got the money to do it. I applaud you, by all means. Shell out that. Yeah, well, I don't know what a 9.8 of this book is going for, but I'm going to assume a few thou easily. Um, for a lot of collectors in this hobby, that's really unobtainium. But this book that I spent $425 on, perhaps in a couple of years, or 5 years, or whatever, say I turned around and I sold it for $600. That's a pretty decent return on investment. It's going to open up the market of buyers a lot more if I put a price tag of $600 on this as opposed to $2,000, $2,500, or what have you. So for me, it gives me a greater opportunity to be able to sell this book when I get to that point. So this was the last book of the Cash Up program currently. I figured with Halloween coming, just show these. This sort of touches on where I was looking at where I was going to spend my money on books. I mean, if you want to collect every single issue and have full runs of books, once again, like that's great. I applaud you. And you're reading every issue and you love every issue, that's great. But for me personally, as opposed to say spending, just generically, $20, $30 on Werewolf by Night #2, and 10, 15, $20 on Werewolf by Night #3, #4, #5, #6, #7, #8, #9. Like that starts adding up. That a more focused approach, you could take that same money and get bigger key issues. Now you can tell this has got that damage to the cover. Other than that, this thing is gorgeous. I mean, it would have graded really, really high. Now, obviously, that damage is going to, lower it significantly. This was a book I'd watched for years on eBay, and I guess the guy still had Rovid prices on it, and I reached out to him, and I'm like, hey, man, I've literally been watching this book for 3 years, and you still have it. Can we do something about this? And he made me a very fair offer. I had a copy of this, which I did sell, that honestly, depending on how you want to look at it, was not in as good a condition. It had a lot of color breaking creases on it. I'd bought it for $25, so no big deal. I sold it for more. I did well. But even with that chunk missing out of the cover, this actually presents a lot nicer than the one I had. And it made it easier to let go of the other copy I had because I still have this in my collection. So for those of you who don't know, Marvel Spotlight #2 is the very first appearance of Werewolf by Night. Colors on this pop is a great book to have. It doesn't. This is a book collectors don't like to let go of. Love the Reds. Aru. So that's unfortunate, but I'm still happy and proud to own this. That brings us to number one issue in the self-titled series, Werewolf by Night #1. Once again, that red background, very vibrant colors. This really pops. This is, if you're, investment purposes on Werewolf by Night, if there's another issue, chime in on the comments. But I think Marvel Spotlight 2, Werewolf by Night #1, and Werewolf by Night #32, like, that's where you should put your money. Continuing with this, Halloween and spooky stuff. Not a monster. Oh. But a goblin. Bought this, 5 some years ago from Chris at We Love Comics. He had literally just purchased this and made a video, and I've talked about this before, and he got such a steal of a deal. It was like 400 and change on this, and I knew that he had multiple copies of this. I did not have one. So I reached out to him immediately, and I was like, hey man, would you be willing to sell this to me? And we negotiated a price. With shipping, it was $750. My wife was a little bit annoyed at me at the time. She was like, well, dude, he just bought it for, I don't remember accurately, $425, $450. Why would you give him $750 for this book? And it's like, because I know where this book is going. Now, it is a 3.5 restored, and I'm okay with that. It depends on what the restoration is, or, once again, to my finances. If I can get a book for 60% of its fair market value price because it's got, some small amount of color touch, that really doesn't bother me. I have sold restored books before, and while certainly they go less for their counterpart in the same condition, it's not like I'm taking a bath. I'm still making money on it. Love this. Never ever thought I would have a second copy. As I stated, my Cash Up program got a little bit derailed. The gentleman that I've been selling comics to is James at Mint Hunter Comics. He pays a fair price. He pays immediately. Offers, like, how do you want it? Do you want it to go to your PayPal? Do you want me to, send you a check? And he had this listed for $700. Well, he did an auction. He had it at $700, and nobody pounced on it. And I'm like, okay, wait a second. ASM 14, $700. It is not a chewed up copy at all. Some spine issues. Somebody put their little initial KC there next to Goblin's head. Some stuff here. There is a piece of tape, a little small piece of tape, which does not count as restoration. There's a couple of small pieces of tape on the back. Looking at it, it was more preventative than that it was like sealing a split in the back cover. Having had my funds diverted elsewhere, I was like, hey man, are you open up to a trade? And he's like, sure. So I traded my Iron Man #1 6.5 and my ASM 41 2.5, as an even trade to get this. I think this will easily come back after a pressing and dry clean. It's going to be low grade for sure. I'm thinking 225. What fair market value is on this book and what it's selling for, I'm still doing well. Once again, knowing where books are going, this is going to appreciate a lot more than my Night Nurse number, or excuse me, my ASM 41 or my Iron Man number 1. Because while Iron Man number 1 is a cool issue to have, I mean, it's way far away from being his first appearance, for sure. This is the first appearance of the Goblin. And the colors on this are really nice. There's no like creases across the main part of the cover. Like I said, there's some stuff along the spine. There is no spine splits. The spine is firmly attached. Now I can see like where there's a little space between the color of the cover and the book, and you can tell it more significantly. Well, it's in a bag of board on the back, that I think a press, I mean, is definitely going to help this. You know, there is some light, you know, dirt and stuff on the back. I mean, it was, you know, a 2.25. But looking at it, I don't see any signs of restoration on this. And this is going to go really well graded alongside this one. And owning a second copy will give me the opportunity, if I chose, to sell one of them and still own the book. So very important there. Because having been in the process of selling books, it's hard to let go. It gets easier once you do. I don't prescribe to he who dies with the most comic books wins. I don't want my wife and my daughter, in the event of my unfortunate demise, to have to navigate thousands and thousands of comic books, not knowing, you know, what has value, what doesn't. And this is a decision I've made, and I'm moving forward with it. Pretty soon here, I will be able to get back to the Cash Up program, where I'm not having to take the funds from the comic books and divert it elsewhere. And I'm going to keep getting some big boy keys, and perhaps take an issue like one of these and use it to, okay, cool, sell a couple books that are worth $800, $900, $1,000 and get a bigger key issue that I don't necessarily want to pull that money out of my bank account or from my paycheck in order to acquire. So trades can happen. You don't have to have cash on the barrelhead. Got to make it fair. Got to make it so both parties are happy. No one's getting taken advantage of. And everybody walks away with a smile on their face. So almost at 20 minutes. Leave it here. This is Dan, the Kraken Man, or the Kraken's Lair Comics. Sorry it's been a couple months since I've made a video, but I mean, those are some pretty good books, you know. So hopefully it was worth the wait, and I'll get back to you guys as soon as I can with more great comic books. Everybody enjoy comics, enjoy comic book collecting, and I'm pretty sure I probably won't make another video before the end of the month. So everybody, have a happy Halloween. Put a pumpkin out. Get some candy for the kids, you know. Everybody have a great day. Talk to you soon.